So now we're going to switch gears to talk more specifically about each VPAT edition, starting with the WCAG edition of the VPAT. WCAG is a standard developed by the World Wide Web Consortium. Its long name is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. You might also hear it called WCAG, 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 or something similar. We're all referring to the same standard, which sets requirements for making web content accessible to people with disabilities. Outside of the web, WCAG requirements, with a few exceptions, are being applied in non-web contexts, such as to non-web software, user interfaces, to electronic documentation, and to tools used to author web content and electronic documents. WCAG has three actively used versions: WCAG 2.0 from 2008, WCAG 2.1 from 2018, and WCAG 2.2 from 2023. Each of these WCAG versions includes three levels. We've been talking about that: level A, AA, and AAA. The levels are actually cumulative. So, for example, if you plan to report on level AA conformance, you need to include all level A and AA criteria. Most regulations require level AA. WCAG conformance is used in regulations such as the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, or AODA, the recent Department of Justice rule on the accessibility of state and local government websites and mobile applications, Section 508, and the European Accessibility Act, and many more. If you want to report on the very latest version of WCAG, you need to use either the WCAG version or of the VPAT or the INT, or international version. This is because the 508 edition only includes WCAG 2.0, and the EU edition includes WCAG 2.1. Each of the WCAG standards are listed separately in the table in the Accessibility Standards and Guidelines section. And when you're filling out the VPAT, you need to adjust the values for each level in the Included in Report column to reflect the WCAG versions and the levels that you're reporting on. This slide gives you a partial view of the WCAG 2.x report, showing a few success criteria for WCAG level A in Table 1 and for level AA in Table 2. The VPAT indicates criteria that were added after WCAG 2.0. Note that in the criteria column, whenever there's no explanation of what WCAG version the criterion is from, it came from WCAG 2.0. Because the VPAT includes WCAG 2.2, when the new criteria were introduced by WCAG 2.1, the VPAT adds the text 2.1 and 2.2 because those exist in both after the level information. So you can easily identify them. And not shown here in this slide, but the notation is similar when there were brand new criteria only in WCAG 2.2. Those criteria have the additional text 2.2 only after the level information. The WCAG AAA criteria are also provided in a separate table, but these are optional. If you decide to use the international version or INT version of the VPAT, you'll notice that the WCAG tables include a mapping to the specific clauses of the EN 301549 that require WCAG conformance, as well as revised Section 508 mapping, since WCAG is also applied in non-web contexts. The conformance level and remarks and explanations also allow for indicating what aspects of your product meet the WCAG criteria. We'll cover that more when we talk about the other editions. So what if you were using the WCAG edition VPAT, but you only plan to report on WCAG 2.0? You can handle this in one of two ways. The first way is to put not applicable in the conformance level column for each criteria marked with 2.2 only or with 2.1 and 2.2. In this example, it shows 2.5.1 pointer gestures through 2.5.4 motion actuation that all have not applicable notated in the conformance level with a comment of not reporting on WCAG 2.1 or 2.2. So that's one way to handle it. Or instead of marking these criteria not applicable, you could delete them from the tables. One thing to remember, whenever you're not reporting on a particular level of WCAG or a particular WCAG version, make sure that the applicable standards or guidelines section of the report lists only the standards that you are reporting against. So you would report no on those others. Some companies want to combine the WCAG criteria into a single table, and that's okay. In this example, we show the combination of single A and double A criteria in one table and change the title to Table 1 WCAG Success Criteria. Having a single table may shorten the report, but it can also lead to a longer table. So let's say you have a product and you're focused on reporting on WCAG 2.0 and 2.1 only to level AA. So you don't plan on reporting level AAA conformance in the applicable standards and guidelines table, and then in the WCAG 2.0 and 2.1 rows, you would mark yes for level A and yes for level AA, and then no for level AAA in the included in report column. Continuing with this example, you may be wondering what to do with the level AAA table when you're not reporting conformance to those criteria. And again, this can be handled in two ways. The first way is you can fill in the conformance level for all the level AAA criteria with not evaluated answer. And this is the only valid use for not evaluated. So don't use it in any of the other tables. The second way is to remove table 3 for level AAA criteria altogether. And in the notes for that section, indicate the table was removed and why. So in this example, the remarks and explanations comments say, this product has not been tested for conformance to WCAG AAA criteria.